I thought I had the perfect marriage, until a random phone bill revealed my wife's entire double life. What I discovered next will make your heart stop, and the ending, you'll never see it coming. I always thought I'd be the last guy this would happen to. You know, the one who gets blindsided. But here I am, 17 years into a marriage I thought was solid, and my world just cracked open like a dropped glass. It started with a phone bill. Yeah, something as boring as that. I was paying bills one night, just doing my usual monthly sweep of our accounts. My wife, Julia, had been acting a little different lately. Nothing dramatic, just small things. Less eye contact, fewer jokes. She started sleeping with her phone under her pillow, said it helped her check the time easier in the mornings. I didn't think much of it at first, but this night, something made me look twice at the phone bill. One number showed up over and over again. Late at night, middle of the day, 10-minute calls, 2-hour calls. Always the same number. I didn't jump to conclusions. I thought, maybe it's a friend, a cousin, even a work call. But my gut, it just knew something was off. I copied the number, opened a search, and boom, LinkedIn profile of a guy named Craig who works at our office. Project manager. Clean cut. Perfect teeth. One of those guys who looks like he plays tennis and never forgets your birthday. I sat there staring at his face on my screen. For a good 10 minutes, I didn't move. My coffee went cold. My fingers were shaking. I wasn't even mad yet. I was just numb. But I knew I couldn't confront her with just a phone bill. I needed to be sure. So I waited. Watched. Quietly. The following week, I noticed she started working late more often. On Tuesday, she said there was a client dinner. On Thursday, she didn't get home until almost midnight. I asked how the dinner was, and she said, "Oh, it got canceled last minute, so I just grabbed drinks with coworkers." When I asked which ones, she just shrugged and said, "You don't know them." The next morning, I checked her car's mileage. She had driven nearly 70 miles more than she should have. I know that sounds crazy, but I've always been the one who tracks gas and maintenance in our house. It didn't add up, so I did something I never thought I'd do. I put a tracker app on her phone while she was in the shower. That Friday, she said she was going to a networking event in the city. She even dressed up, nicer than usual. A navy dress I hadn't seen her wear in years, heels she always said hurt too much. She kissed me on the cheek and told me not to wait up. I watched her little GPS drive across town, but it didn't stop at a hotel or an event center. It stopped in a quiet neighborhood about 40 minutes away. A cul-de-sac. She parked. She stayed. For 5 hours. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she came back like nothing happened. She tossed her keys on the counter, pulled her hair into a ponytail, and said, "I'm going to run out and grab coffee. Want anything?" I said no. She left again. I sat there for 10 minutes, then I opened her laptop. I knew I shouldn't have. I know people say you should trust unless you have proof, but I had proof. I just needed to see it with my own eyes. She was still logged into her email. And there it was. An email chain with Craig. Dozens of them. Some about work, but others way too personal. Dinner plans. Inside jokes. One that said, "Last night was perfect. I didn't want to leave your bed." I scrolled, barely breathing. One message said, "Don't worry, he doesn't suspect anything. He thinks I'm just stressed from work." Another, "Soon, I'll tell him. I just need the right moment." I felt like the air was sucked out of the room. This wasn't just a fling. She was planning a whole new life, and I had no idea. I closed the laptop and just sat there, hands in my lap, trying to understand how 17 years of marriage could become background noise to someone else's fairy tale. I didn't know what to do. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there, watching the sunlight creep across our kitchen floor like everything was normal, like my life hadn't just fallen apart. I haven't told her what I know yet, but I will. She came home that afternoon holding 2 coffees and a muffin like nothing had happened. "Thought you might want a blueberry one," she said with that same familiar smile I used to fall in love with every time. I took the coffee, nodded, and sat down at the kitchen table. I couldn't look her in the eye. She didn't notice. She just started chatting about traffic, how the line at the coffee shop was long, how the barista messed up her order again. I kept nodding. I felt like I was watching someone else's life through a window, like mine had been quietly stolen while I wasn't looking. Later that night, after dinner, she sat across from me on the couch and pulled out her phone. I could see the smile creep onto her face before she even started typing. I didn't ask who it was. I didn't need to. I think that was the moment it hit me, not just that she was cheating, but that she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. And worse, she was happy. She looked lighter, like someone who had already made peace with a decision the rest of us hadn't caught up to yet. I slept in the guest room that night, told her I had a headache. The next few days, I kept playing normal. I got the kids off to school, went to work, came home, cooked dinner. But something inside me was unraveling. I didn't eat much. I couldn't sleep. My mind kept cycling through memories like an old film reel: our wedding, her laugh on our honeymoon, her sobbing in my arms when we lost her dad, the way she looked at me when I surprised her with our first home. All of it. And now this. I wasn't just losing her. I was losing all the history we built together. And she didn't seem to care. On Thursday night, I decided to confront her. I couldn't carry this alone anymore. She was in bed scrolling her phone when I walked in and sat down beside her. "I need to ask you something," I said. She looked up, slightly startled. "Okay, what's going on?" I took a breath. My chest felt tight. "Are you having an affair?" Her face went blank. Not shocked, not confused. Just blank. "What?" she said, voice soft but defensive. "I saw the emails," I told her. "Craig. The dinner. The overnight trip." "I know." Silence. Long, cold silence. Then she whispered, "How long have you known?" There it was. No denial. No gaslighting. Just a question that confirmed everything. I nodded slowly. "A week." She put her phone down and sat up, wrapping the blanket around herself like she was cold. She didn't say anything for a while. Just looked at the floor, biting her lip. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she finally said. I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Of course you did," I snapped, and my voice cracked in a way I hadn't expected. "You planned dinners. You stayed the night. You lied to my face. Don't act like you tripped and fell into his bed." Her eyes welled up with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know how to tell you." "You didn't tell me," I said. "You just hoped I'd never find out." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. "I never stopped loving you," she said. Something in me got lost. That hurt more than the cheating. Because I knew she was telling the truth. She didn't stop loving me. She just didn't choose me. That's what made it worse. I got up and left the room. I couldn't sit there and listen to her rewrite what she'd done into some emotional accident. I slept in the guest room again, staring at the ceiling, wondering how we got from our wedding vows to here. The next morning, she didn't say much. She made coffee, packed the kids' lunches, and acted like everything was fine. But her eyes were red. Her hands trembled a little. Later that day, she texted me a long message while I was at work. She said she wanted to talk more, to explain herself, to maybe try counseling, that she didn't want to lose what we had. But the thing is, I don't even know what we have anymore. 17 years. And she threw it away piece by piece, lie by lie, thinking I'd never notice. But I did. And now I have to decide what comes next. That weekend was the first time I realized just how much pretending can weigh on a person. We went through the motions like nothing had changed. The kids were home, so we played our roles, mom and dad. I grilled burgers on Saturday. She helped our daughter with a school project. We watched a movie as a family, and for a few fleeting moments, I almost forgot. But then she'd look at me for half a second too long, or I'd catch her glancing down at her phone when she thought no one was watching, and the reality would punch me in the chest all over again. She was still talking to him. I could feel it. On Sunday night, after the kids went to bed, she came into the guest room. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through photos on my phone. Our family vacation to Colorado last year. Her smile in those pictures looked so real, so genuine. I almost wanted to believe those moments meant as much to her as they did to me. She stood in the doorway for a moment before speaking. "Can we talk?" I didn't look up. "You're already here." She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. I ended it with him. I finally turned to face her. "When?" "Friday. After you confronted me." "So, you didn't end it because it was wrong. You ended it because you got caught." She didn't argue, just looked down at her hands and nodded. "I was stupid," she said. "It wasn't even about him. It was about me. I felt invisible, like I didn't matter anymore. He made me feel seen." That hit hard, because I thought I had been seeing her. I thought I'd been doing everything right, working hard, keeping the lights on, making sure our family was taken care of. I didn't realize somewhere along the way, I stopped making her feel like she mattered. "You could have told me," I said. "You could have said something. Anything. Instead, you lied. You chose to hide and cheat." "I know," she whispered. "I hate myself for it." I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say in that moment. She sat down on the far edge of the bed, like there was a mile between us. "I don't want to lose this," she said. "I don't want to lose you." I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I built a life with, the mother of my children, the person who knew my worst moments and stood by me, until now. "You already lost me," I said, not cruelly, just honestly. "Maybe not forever, but for now, I don't trust you. And without trust, we don't have anything." She cried. Silent tears this time. No dramatic sobs. Just the slow unraveling of guilt and regret. I didn't comfort her. That might sound heartless, but I couldn't. I had nothing left to give her that night. The next morning, I told her I needed space. Real space. I packed a bag and drove to my brother's place a few towns over. He's always been my anchor when life gets messy. Didn't ask a ton of questions, just handed me a beer, offered the guest room, and told me I could stay as long as I needed. I spent the first night lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I should fight for this marriage or let it die. 17 years is a long time. It's almost half my life. But so is lying in a bed where someone broke your heart and expecting yourself to sleep soundly. On Tuesday, I called her. She picked up right away. "I'm going to see a therapist," she said before I could speak. "I know I can't ask you to forgive me, but I want to understand why I did what I did and who I became." I didn't know what to say. Part of me respected that. The other part was too raw to carry yet. "I need time," I told her. "I'll give you time," she said. "Whatever you need. It's been a week since I left the house. The kids think I'm away for work, and that lie eats at me every day. But I can't go back until I know what I'm going back to. I don't know if this ends in divorce or some kind of reconciliation. I honestly don't. But I do know one thing. I'm not rushing to fix something just because it's familiar. Familiar doesn't mean safe, and history doesn't guarantee a future. 3 weeks. That's how long I've been staying with my brother. It's strange how fast something as solid as a marriage can start feeling like a past life. I still wake up expecting to hear my kids fighting over the bathroom or Julia humming while she makes coffee. Instead, it's silence. Just me, an unfamiliar ceiling, and the low hum of my brother's fridge down the hall. Julia sends updates. Not about us. She knows better, but about the kids. School projects, dentist appointments, soccer games. She never pushes. Never asks when I'm coming back. Just keeps me in the loop. Like she's trying to show me she's still holding things down. And to be fair, she is. But that doesn't change what happened. I finally sat down with a therapist. My brother gently nudged me into it after catching me staring at the same corner of the ceiling for 20 minutes one night. Her name's Elaine. Mid-50s, calm voice, eyes that don't flinch. She didn't offer platitudes or try to stitch me back together in one session. She just let me talk. I told her everything. The phone bill, the emails. That first night I confronted Julia. How I couldn't bring myself to touch her hand even when she cried. How I'm stuck between anger and heartbreak and some stupid piece of me that still misses the way she laughs when she reads cereal boxes. Elaine listened, then said something that's been echoing in my head ever since. "You don't have to decide what forgiveness looks like today. You just have to survive today." That was the first night I actually slept through. This past weekend, I went home for the first time since I left. Julia asked if I wanted her to take the kids out so we could talk, but I said no. I wanted it normal. I needed to see them. Needed to be their dad, even if I didn't know what being a husband meant anymore. Our son tackled me in the driveway before I could even shut the car door. Our daughter acted cool, but I caught her wiping her eyes when she thought I wasn't looking. We played board games, made pancakes, and laughed a little more than I expected to. Julia stayed in the background, letting me lead. She didn't hover, didn't try to force conversations, just gave me space. There was this moment, after the kids went to bed, where we were both in the kitchen, just cleaning up. Our hands bumped while reaching for the same dish towel, and we both froze. "Do you hate me?" she asked quietly. I didn't answer right away. Not because I was trying to be dramatic, but because I really had to think about it. "No," I finally said. "I don't hate you, but I don't know how to love you right now either." She nodded like she already knew that was the best answer I could give. She's been going to therapy too. Says it's helping her unpack some things she's ignored for years. That she's finally seeing herself clearly and doesn't like what she sees. She's not making excuses. That's the weird part. I think if she had, it would have been easier to shut the door for good. But she's owning it. Every piece of it. I left again that night, but this time it didn't feel like running. It felt like breathing. Now here's the twist I didn't see coming. I found out Craig is married. Yeah, Julia didn't know at first. They met at work, clicked over coffee and late meetings, and somewhere in all of that, he told her he was divorced. Classic line. But after everything came out and she told him it was over, guess what shows up in her inbox 2 days later? An email from his wife. Apparently, she found their messages too. Only instead of silence and therapy, that woman went scorched earth. She emailed Julia, her company, HR. Everything. Julia hasn't told me the full fallout, but I know she was pulled into a meeting, and there's an internal review happening. Craig? He's on leave. Part of me wanted to gloat. The other part just felt tired. It's like all this damage has been multiplying in the background, and no one's walking away clean. We're all bleeding, just in different rooms. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I've been married to this woman longer than I've been not married to her, but the trust we built? It's cracked, and I don't know if time or therapy or effort can fill that space completely. But here's what I do know. I'm not rushing to forgive. I'm not rushing to leave either. I'm just taking it one day at a time, letting myself feel everything, letting myself not have the answers. Because for once, I think that's okay. I've always hated indecision. I'm the kind of guy who reads restaurant menus before getting there, checks the weather the night before, makes spreadsheets for family vacations. But this? What Julia did, and what it left behind, there's no roadmap for this. No checklist or guidebook for how to forgive someone who shattered your picture of what life was supposed to be. It's been 6 weeks since I first confronted her. I've been home more lately, staying in the guest room when I do. Partly for the kids, partly because I needed to stop avoiding my own life. It still feels strange walking through the front door, setting my keys down in a house where everything looks the same but nothing feels the same. There's this invisible distance between us now. Every conversation is careful, like we're walking on a frozen lake, both of us terrified to say the wrong thing and fall through. She's trying. I'll give her that. She cooks dinner even though she knows I barely eat. She's patient when I forget to respond to texts or drift off in the middle of conversations. She never pushes. Never asks, "Have you decided yet?" Just keeps showing up, like she's waiting for me to believe she deserves a second chance. The truth is, some days I almost do. Last week we took the kids to the fall festival in town. It was something we used to do every year. Hay rides, caramel apples, pumpkin patches, wholesome stuff. And for a while, it felt like the old days. The 4 of us laughing in the crisp air, our son climbing on hay bales, our daughter dragging us through every vendor booth. Then we saw a couple holding hands near the cider stand. She was leaning into him, smiling at something he said. He kissed the top of her head. And just like that, I was back in it. Not the festival, my head. Back in that night, I saw Craig's name on our phone bill. Back in that cold, slow realization that the woman beside me had been living a whole other life I didn't know about. I pulled away. Julia noticed. She didn't say anything, but her face shifted. That hopeful light that had been peeking through lately, it dimmed again. And we rode home in silence, the kids dozing in the back seat while we stared straight ahead, 2 strangers in the front of the same car. That night, after we got the kids to bed, I found her sitting at the kitchen table. She was staring at her wedding ring, just turning it slowly around her finger. "I don't expect you to ever look at me the same again," she said. Her voice didn't crack. It wasn't performative. It was just quiet and tired. "But I still hope someday you'll want to look at me at all." I didn't know what to say. I just sat down across from her, both of us leaning on a table where we'd once planned vacations, birthdays, even baby names. "I look at you," I said finally, "every day. I just don't recognize what I'm seeing." She nodded. "That's fair." She didn't cry this time. Neither of us did. We started going to couples counseling. That was my condition if she wanted even the slightest shot at rebuilding anything. It's awkward and uncomfortable and sometimes brutal, but it's also the most honest we've been in years. Last session, the counselor asked us both a question that's still rattling around in my head. If this relationship was a house, what would be left standing right now? Julia said, "The foundation." I know I destroyed a lot, but I still believe the foundation's there. I didn't answer right away, but after a long pause, I said, "There's pieces. And I don't know if that's enough, but I know I'm still here. So maybe that means something. And maybe it does. Because the part one keep coming back to, the part one hate admitting, is that I don't want to leave because I still love her. Through all of it. Even when I wish I didn't. But love isn't enough on its own. It needs trust, respect, safety. And those don't come back just because someone says, "I'm sorry." They come back slowly, brick by brick, if they come back at all. We're not healed. We're not better. We're just 2 people standing in the ashes, trying to figure out if we can rebuild anything from what's left. And for now, that's all I've got. It's been 3 months now since the day I found out. 3 months of therapy sessions, late-night silences, long drives where I just needed to breathe somewhere else. I've learned more about myself in this season than I ever did in 17 years of marriage. Pain has a way of cracking you open, pulling things out of you that you didn't even know were buried. I thought the hardest part would be confronting her, but it wasn't. The hardest part has been learning how to live inside the quiet after everything shatters. And now, the part one never saw coming, I'm staying. Not because I forgot what she did. Not because I magically trust her again. Not because it's easier. I'm staying because something changed. Not in her, though she's changing too, but in me. After months of watching her show up to counseling without excuses, hearing her own the ugly truth without begging for pity, after seeing how she's tried to rebuild connection with our kids without forcing them into her arms, after all of that, I realized something. She doesn't just regret what she did. She regrets who she became. And that difference matters to me. We had another session this past Thursday, and the counselor asked us what we wanted now, not what we wanted to fix or undo, but what we hoped for next. Julia said, "I want to become someone who earns love again, instead of assuming I'm owed it." That hit me in a way I didn't expect, because I think we both spent too many years thinking marriage was this set of steps. You show up, you do the holidays, you tuck in the kids, and love just stays. But love doesn't stay unless you feed it, unless you choose it. And we both stopped choosing it at some point. I just didn't cheat, but I did check out. Emotionally. Slowly. Bit by bit. It doesn't make what she did okay. Not even close. But it's real. And honest. And I think if we have any shot at saving this thing, it has to come from both of us owning our part of how we got here. We started taking walks together again. Just around the block. A few evenings a week. We don't talk about the affair on those walks. We talk about our kids. Our dreams. Random stuff. And sometimes we walk in silence. But even that silence feels different now. Not empty, just quiet. The kids don't know the full story. We agreed they shouldn't carry that weight. They know Mom and Dad hit a rough patch. They know we're working on things. And slowly, they've stopped asking why I'm sleeping in the guest room. Because last night, for the first time in months, I didn't. It wasn't planned. There wasn't a long conversation or dramatic turning point. I just stood outside that door with my heart pounding, and I opened it. She looked up from her book, startled, but didn't say anything. I climbed into bed beside her. Not touching. Just close. She reached over and took my hand. I didn't pull away this time. That was it. No big speech. No cinematic reconciliation. Just one small step. I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know if we'll ever get back to what we had. But I'm starting to believe we might build something new, something better, something stronger. Not because we're pretending nothing happened, but because we're choosing to stay anyway. And that's where I'll leave this. Not with a bow. Not with a clean ending. Just with two people trying. Together.